What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the World Foam Alliance YouTube channel, another episode of Get Off My Lawn, where myself, Al the Geek, and one Captain Xavier, we have a show where we just talk about everything that's foam flinging related. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and don't forget to share. As I always say, we make no money. So the more we can monetize this, you know what that means? We can actually put money back to things to like making a website and other things. So share, share, like, and share. By the way, we love that you're here. Tell all your friends, even if they have no idea who we are, who cares? Share. People always share with you the stupidest things. That doesn't mean that you don't have to. You can do the same. The only difference is this time, this is not a stupid thing. And then I'm going to come back and say, why didn't you share with me earlier? You'll say, well, I didn't want to bother you. Well, you should have bothered me. Well, this is the coolest thing ever. Well, I know it's the coolest thing ever. Do you see what the problem is? So therefore, instead of going through this problem yourself, just share it. And if they say, why did you do that? You can blame me. I'm Canadian. Don't worry. No one stays mad at me long enough anyways. So again, welcome to the World Foam Alliance YouTube channel. Wow, we are coming close to the end of the year, man. It is November, and we are approaching Christmas and everything else. That means events are probably running thin. But you know what? That's okay. I think overall it's been a fantastic foam flinging year, and it's just amazing to watch as you watch other events come online, more people participating, groups starting to grow and get big. So it is working. It is not exponential growth yet, but that's why we're here, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it possible so that growth becomes exponential as opposed to gradual. And so far, it will happen one day. I tell you, there are 75 million blasters sold globally by different companies. What does that mean? Everybody probably has a dart blaster somewhere in their basement. They just have not unlocked the potential yet. Once they unlock the potential, what does that mean? Oh my, oh my, events and things happening everywhere. Never mind the creativity of our community in terms of the events they have, the games they have, the blasters. Hey, if you watch the Foam News Collective, as I explain to people, I feel like every 2 weeks someone has designed something else, and it's just not one person. It's like two or three people. Now you can imagine with the size of our community now. And as the community gets bigger, there'll be more people like that. And dear God, what kind of madness and craziness will be made just making this even more and more fun than it is. Like I said, don't forget to like and share. You'd be surprised. The first reaction is, Nerf what? And then they want to know more. Anyways, enough about that. I also have, as you all know, one Captain Xavier. Cap, man, what's shaking, brother? How are you?
I'm good. It's damp here, but I'm soldiering on. Um, yes, talking about designers, the Moab, I have gotten my Moab fully functioning. I will hopefully get solid firing footage soon. I'm putting it off because it takes forever to reload, but I need to do it. But that is something that has reached a lot of people outside of our hobby because I've been seeing ads for his thing showing up everywhere. Last time I checked his Kickstarter, it had cleared like $260,000, which means he's
Wow.
sold like, yeah, 1,000 kits or something, which is impressive, which could have interesting impacts on the Nerf world. The sorts of people it's going to bring. It also might have a potentially negative impact because if they think that that's a functioning, like, useful practical blaster and they bring it to an event and they gonna get wrecked. But that could be fun too. But like a four-way battle between nothing but Moabs would be absolutely epic and then would last for 10 seconds and then require 3 hours of cleanup. That's the beauty and the horror of the Moab. I'm looking forward to doing some comparison videos between it and like Tier and some things they are equally impractical about, and others their advantages one way or the other. It'll be a fun video. But yeah, that kind of engineering, the fact that it's a functioning Gatling gun that can fire 50 rounds a second is insane. And then he's going to let it loose into our hobby, and Lord knows what we're going to do with that. Because we have no chill. We have no sense of propriety or sanity. People will find out how to make it more powerful. People will find out how to make it easier to reload. Somebody will probably build a reloading machine for it. They exist for real miniguns. Why not for a toy one?
I'm guessing someone will figure out a way to slow it down just a little bit too.
Well, that's the thing, is it comes with the ability to go from 3,000 rounds a minute, 2,000 rounds a minute, 1,000 rounds a minute, 500 rounds a minute. And 500 rounds a minute is slower than tier. So,
Okay.
and that's just built in. It also has burst. It has 6 and 12 round burst that you can then set to any of those speed limits. So you could have, 12 round burst at 3,000 rounds a minute, which is just back, back. And then you don't burn through your ammo quite so fast. The downside to trying to use burst on it is it has a really slow spin up. So the time between when you pull the trigger and the time when the first dart comes out is very noticeable because it's not designed for that. It's meant to be suppressive fire. So, if it takes a few seconds to get the first round out, but then spits 50 a second, that's startup. But if you're trying to use it for like HVZ, you could be dead before that first round leaves the barrel. So there's advantage, like I said, advantages and disadvantages. It is what it is, and it's been a fun adventure.
You know what? Before you just as you mentioned that, because with HVZ, so again, because I did my first rag this year, and I think other people might be trying the same thing of the idea of a boss at the end, and whatever massive vehicle you have, especially now the capability of not just one Moab or multiple Moabs on whatever it is that mass boss is, and suddenly you have 4 or 5 of them empty into the crowd as it passes them.
Yeah, see, that's the sort of thing that the Moab would in fact excel at, is final stands or bosses of some kind, where it's supposed to be ridiculous and over the top and isn't meant to last long term. That's where that sort of thing would work. The biggest thing is the mess that it makes. You have to have a way to catch the shells and the links, or it's just an absolute nightmare and a serious tripping hazard. Plus, all your links are going to get broken, and then you're going to have to reprint them, and it takes forever. Takes over 24 hours to print enough links to fire this blaster for 2 seconds.
If only you had a bamboo.
I do have a bamboo, and it still takes that long. I don't want to know how long it would take on something lesser. Other things that have, a similar absurd things that have come out. The Infinite Pack has finally been re-released by Out of Darts. The new Proton Pack. They've rebranded it, but it's the same. I'm not sure why they chose to change the name. I don't know. Maybe Dan Aykroyd reached out and complained. Who knows? But you can now get the Infinite Pack from Out of Darts. You can get it assembled. You can get it as a kit. You can get it in custom colors. The standard colors are black and swirly purple and some orange. But yeah. They come with a tank that holds 400 rounds. But I have made tanks that hold many more. I'm literally in the process of making one for Sergeant Deplorable that will hold, I think, 6 gallons. And it's 350 rounds a gallon. So do the math, 1,800 rounds.
18, say 2,100.
2,100? Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly. I also have one that holds 10 gallons, so 3,500 rounds, which is just unnecessary and magnificent.
Well, depending on how many Moabs you're facing off against.
Yeah. In most cases, I would be willing to bet most rival blasters will actually outrange the Moab.
Yeah.
Moab only comes in between 70 and 90 FPS.
A
good rival blaster, it's easy to get them up to 100 or more. And if you have hop up, they will definitely outrange a Moab. Both are accuracy by volume, but the Moabs can have a higher rate of fire if they're going full bore, but they can dial that down to be less so. A good proton pack. I mean, even the small proton pack holds 400 rounds compared to a Moab's 500. And you can reload it with a bucket instead of tediously linking 500 shells and links together and then loading them all.
I think you can make it fancy and call it a tactical bucket.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. I've got another one that will be delivered to the mall battle this weekend. For anyone interested, there is another mall battle at the Lloyd Center Mall this weekend in Portland. Get your tickets if they're still available. It will be our last major event of the year. We're not doing anything in December. We're all taking it off. We held fewer Borst Wars this year so that we would have some time off, and that other people could then host events, and then we ended up running those other events and ended up having the same number of events. So we're doing nothing in December. January. January, I will hopefully, assuming travel is still a thing we can do in this country, I will be going to Phoenix.
Oh,
Arizona, with crew member Rocket. He has family down there, used to live down there. So we're going to go invade the Phoenix area, look for some nerfing to happen. They're hosting an event for us, and then we're going to look, as per spec, for Lego and root beer.
well, yeah.
There's a soda shop down there that supposedly has about 20 root beers I don't have, so I must go.
You must go. By the way, Builder BB has reported in he used the 5-gallon office waste bin for his homemade rival backpack.
Yeah. I've got one that uses a 5-gallon water cooler jug. And then I then put into a hiking backpack. I've got one that's out of this 6-gallon plastic gas jerry can looking thing. And then I've got a 10-gallon one. As long as it will seal and be relatively airtight, you can use whatever you want. Out of Darts does make and sell the adapter that you can attach to whatever tank you want. At one point in the past, I attempted to reverse engineer it, and I was off by 1 millimeter of one section. I was so close to having reverse engineered it perfectly. So close. And then they gave me the file, and I was able to put the two on top of each other. And yeah, I had one section that was 1 millimeter too tall, and so it was really hard to actually get the tank to lock in. And it was just needed to lower that part just a little bit, and it would have been identical. You're like, all right, I've figured out this 3D design nonsense. But the way I did mine is I have it in two parts. This is the part that actually attaches to the agitator, and it just locks on. And then I did it in two parts because then I can then design the base that this sockets into and glues and screws into place. But that part I can then make match the bottom of whatever tank I want to put it on.
Yep.
So I made this one match the geometry of the bottom of this tank, which is a little bit wonky, but I managed to pull it off on the first try.
You're getting fancy over there.
I've gotten good with calipers, man. And so, yeah, I've got this different thing for, I made this shape to go on the water cooler tank. I made this shape to go on the bottom of the RV water tank that is the 10-gallon one. I could design it to attach. I've designed it to attach to the 2-gallon tank that I have in my HVZ version, because that one will actually fit in my trunk and I can actually travel with it. The 10-gallon one would not travel well, I suspect.
No. By the way, when he says trunk, he doesn't mean car. He means the flying trunk, the one that goes on a plane.
Yeah, I managed to find a hard-shelled trunk that is the exact maximum dimensions allowed by Alaska Airlines before it becomes oversized luggage. So since I have an Alaska Airlines card, the trunk travels for free. And I can get my full heavy HVZ loadout in it if I pack it tight. And usually it's like, also it has to be under 50 pounds. And I usually am coming in at like 46, 47. But it does mean that I can bring my full heavy loadout to the big HVZs to like Mall Madness a couple of weeks ago.
Which reminds me, just for those following along at home, we do have a guest that he'll be joining us shortly. We do have Kyle from Mall Madness. He is the architect and the man behind it. He'll tell you more about it and will correct me if I said anything wrong. But anyways, hold on to your hats and put up with us two old people for a while, but he'll be on shortly.
Yeah. I have questions because we're wanting to run our own mall sort of lock-in event here at the Lloyd Center at some point in the future.
What?
The big invitational version is probably at least 2 years out, but we're hoping to do a trial run early next year if we can pull it off. So I have questions.
Questions are good because, again, for those following along at home, especially with Maryland Mayhem, everything's MM lately. Is your event going to be something as well? Is it a thing? Is that the key to success? It's
No.
got to be either M. Okay. So
We're in the Pacific
Maryland
Northwest. It'll involve peas.
is P's. There you go. It'll be PPs and P. But
Yeah.
anyways, Maryland Mayhem. So for those following along at home, know that like Mayhem and UMBC, they will be operating separately, but no one's at war or fighting. They'll get along very fine and very supportive of one another. It's just the how their paths have taken them, which is great. So as a result of it, the architects behind Maryland Mayhem and the HVZ are planning some stuff, and they're going to see if they can pull it off. But it'll be very interesting and something to look forward to. Again, a new location has been secured. The formal date will be announced, although we roughly know which day it is, and it's like 99% sure. But at the same time, you know what it is. Wait till it's 100%, because otherwise, if you say it too early, what does that mean? Murphy's Law. It'll change.
Yeah.
Trust. Just wait. It'll come out. And it'll be good. And it is not Mother's Day, and it is not Easter. It is not a major holiday.
Absolute madness doing it otherwise.
It is. So I'm looking forward to see what they come up with. And I think. Well, more we explain later. But anyways, yeah, touching upon events and stuff like that. But sorry, as I sidetrack. So you guys are hoping for a enclosed mall one possibly next year?
Yeah, a small trial one early next year, and then we will try to expand it from there. Venue is obviously our biggest issue as well. We've got a meeting tomorrow night to talk with our liaison with trackers to see if they can what it's going to cost, or if they'll even entertain the idea of us doing a lock-in in the mall overnight, and if so, what is it going to cost? So that'll let us know if we should even be looking at this, if we need to look at a completely different venue, what kind of ticket prices we're going to need based on what they're going to charge, all that kind of stuff. We have spun up a 501c3 now, so we do have that going for us. We can get our own event insurance if necessary, which will help us, get access to venues we wouldn't have otherwise had access to. Deep down, we all wish we could still do it. We could do an event out at one of the batteries, either Fort Worden or Fort Flagler or Fort Casey, any of those old World War I naval battery fortresses. Again, having a 501c3 might open those doors, but it might not be enough. We won't know until we try. The previous times that we did it years ago, we just showed up. But we also did it in the dead of winter when there were no tourists around. It was snowing. So we weren't getting in anyone's way. The Rangers didn't even know we were there. We did a different one at slightly better weather, and there were people who showed up, and far from being annoyed, they asked if we had loaners. We gave them loaners. They got stuck in. It was great. When the Rangers did show up, their basic response is, look, man, as long as I don't know about it, I don't have to do anything about it. So don't ask me. You're like, all right. But the first time we asked about doing a big event, they didn't like it. They thought we were going to, damage the site and all of that. And at the time, we didn't have, liability insurance, and we weren't an official organization. It was just a bunch of mooks wanting to do a Nerf event on their state park. People are understandably, nervous about that sort of thing. How much of a mess are we going to leave? Are we going to be able to clean up after ourselves?
And we all look very, very friendly and inviting people. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we're now that we can have an official 501c3, and we can point to all these other massive, large-scale events that that are run, and we'll give it a try. I would love to do an event at Fort Worden or Fort Casey. They would be awesome because if you do it right, you actually can rent the barracks for housing.
Even better.
Which would be very important because they are nowhere near an airport. That's the one downside, is they're way up on the peninsula. The nearest airport's going to be SeaTac, and I think it's a good 2-hour drive away. Where we're wanting to do the Lloyd Center Mall, it's 10 minutes from PDX.
Nice airport, by the way.
Yeah. So if we can pull that off, that would be lovely. If not, there's another mall we're looking at a half hour north. So we'll keep looking until we find them all desperate enough to put up with our shenanigans.
Also, it's Portland. You're right there, so there's a lot of hotels and stuff. So
there's hotels right there. There's food surrounding us. The beauty of a mall is infinite parking. People can sleep in their car if they really want to. show up in an RV, whatever. Doing it in a mall has so many advantages. Bathroom facilities are already available. It's indoors, all kinds of reasons why it'd be a great venue. It just comes down to whether they're willing to do it and what they're going to charge for it, and those sorts of logistics. But we're looking at other options.
I like it.
We need someone on an inn with a mega church that has a massive complex. Then we have to deal with.
You know what that brings? You know what that brings me up to?
What?
I think what we have to do now, instead of looking for facilities, anytime we need something, what we're going to do is find those people, their places of work or business or address, and send them things. So that way they get looped into hobby and then they just do stuff. Like, for example, if we need lawyers, if we need accountants, we're going to send care packages to those firms and say, hey, want us to do an event? Until someone falls in love and realizes, man, you guys need help. I will help you and do this. So it's instead of like, how about we get money? No. Let us convince the professionals that can help bring us what we need to expand the hobby. You know what? That doesn't sound dirty. That makes a lot of sense. That way, they will happily, like the rest of us, donate their time to make this bigger and better. So make a list of who you need, not what you need, and then we will entice them that way, indirectly.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Foamsgiving. Is there? No, there's no Foamsgiving this year. We're hoping next year. I am donating something to the socks. What's the socks thing? Let's pimp that instead.
All right. So 2 things. Foamsgiving, even the stuff I've collected from the one that we were supposed to have last year, it's still here. It has not been given away or sold. I will hold on to it. Foamsgiving, the key thing is the main driving factor behind it, the people behind that really help run it, they don't have time now, little children and jobs. So when their schedules are more available, or we have someone that can run it or a few people that help run it, and then we all take our positions, it will happen again. But the fear is always to run a half-assed something, which we do not want to do. So it will happen again. It's just when timing and karma allows us to do so. Now, Joy for Socks. So again, that's the Corbett charity drive that happens every year. The World Foam Alliance, specifically us and everyone involved, we always try to throw ourselves fully behind it. So I have already donated, I think I've donated a Rage Fire, a Striker 2.0, and one of my airsoft masks. And I told them, I can give you more stuff. They're like, would you stop? That's enough. But we'll see if they change their mind in the meantime.
I need the shipping address. I'm sending them a blaster as well.
Oh, nice. So, what are you allowed to say, or is it a surprise?
Well, last time I gave them either a rush or a crush. I got both. I don't know which one's which. And so this time I'm going to give them whichever one I didn't give them last time. So it'll be a rush or a crush.
Love it. Well, the best part about it, so again, when they do it, everything they make, all their money goes to Joy for Socks. And again, Joy for it's a great charity organization. It really is. They're very good at what they do, and it goes to those who need it. And so they always get a substantial amount of like prizes and things that people have donated to them. So please feel free to go out and donate and support them. It is not easy. Again, they make no money. They're not doing this because it's like pushing whatever. No, there is no hidden agenda here. This is what they do. It's the time of year, and that's why we always try to fully support it and throw ourselves fully behind in it. Again, I will have things in there. Captain Xavier will have things in there. Unconfirmed, but I'm going to go out on a limb and guess Silver Fox out of darts, and everyone's going to throw stuff in there as they usually do. If they don't be mad. They give to everybody all the time anyway. Sometimes, they got to make sure they can pay the rent and pay people. I'm not saying they're not, but if you see like a major guy not share, it's probably like it comes some slack.
Yeah. Right. Should we bring our guest in? I think it's time.
Let's do it. Introduce it. You know him better than I do. Well, yeah, you go ahead.
This is his handle is Chaos Ninja Kyle. He is Kyle. He is the brain behind Mall Mutation Madness. Bring him in and let's make him explain himself. Right.
Hello.
Explain yourself.
Well, as you said, I'm Kyle. I am the designer and director for Mall Mutation Madness Hardcore, and I have don't make me do math. I think close to 20 years in the hobby now.
Holy cow, dude.
Yeah, when was it the Maverick came out? Because the Maverick is what brought me back in. Obviously, I played a little bit as a kid, but like the Maverick when I was an undergrad was like the hot shit, and everybody had one. We were dueling out in the halls, and then I was there for every step of the way after that. So, but yeah, been
Yeah,
always focused.
2005. So yeah, 20 years.
Okay, yeah, it's been 20 years then. Uh, I started a foam club at my university, which was Linwood University in St. Charles here nearby where the mall game is at. And uh, at first we were just replicating like Halo game modes. That's what we were doing. You know, we are like, hey, this is a lot of fun to play in video games, but now that we have blasters to do this, why don't we play these games for real? And so it was a lot of like Capture the Flag and King of the Hill, Oddball, stuff like that. And then graduated, took some time off, went back to school, and it was when I was getting my master's that I met back up with everybody, and it was HVZ was the big thing because that was right there in the peaking of the zombie craze.
Yeah, back when there were 700 universities playing HVZ.
Oh yeah, and I was like, oh, like I'm familiar with the game now because we played Infection Tag is what we called it before. Obviously, I knew it as HVZ, and I was like, oh, cool, you know, this is a big thing. And I jumped in with the Linwood group then, and my old Nerf club, the Linwood Nerf Commandos, was dead. Nobody continued it after we all graduated. So then there was an HVZ club that was unofficial. And I mean, Linwood's a smaller university. So like, I think at most we had like 150 players, maybe 200 registered. But like biggest game nights, I remember like probably 120 players out on a field at a time, you know, doing night missions and like had a lot of fun. And then, I was like, you know what? I want to run this. So like as an off-campus master student, teamed up with a student who was an undergrad at the time, so he could be like the on-campus liaison, and did a lot of game design. Ran like 5 semesters or so of games, and I was like, you know what, I'm getting sick of running games. I'm gonna go back and play games again. And after a couple of those, I just remember some really interestingly bad design choices that like the up and coming admin team were making. And I was just like, there's not a lot of like actual analytics going on as to like why they're doing things. They're just doing things, and they're just like, because they're making decisions, and they're going back to like ways we did this like the first couple times we did it, and then like we learned not to do it and the reasons why. And it's like now I think they're trying to leave their mark on the game and change things for the sake of change without thinking about the repercussions. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own club, not affiliated with the university. And then the Frag Society was born 2015. And let's see, our first game was actually in the park behind my house. We had, it was either 25 or 35 players for a day game. And that was the first hardcore. There was no mall attached to it. It was just I don't even think we called it mutation hardcore. I think it was just humans vs zombies hardcore. And that's kind of where like the rule set started. And obviously you guys are a little familiar with the rules. Captain, obviously you played with them. Al, I think you've seen them or at least heard about them, you know, secondhand.
Yep, and we also had you on last year too and explained a lot of it too, which is great.
That would
So
have been the year
following
before,
along at
but
home. Yeah, he's been on twice with us. Though this is the second time, so refresh your memories, people. Keep up. Come on. Go ahead, brother.
But yeah, like we play hardcore mode, and hardcore mode is you know, there's no tie goes to the human. It's a lot less forgiving in the sense that like you make your shots count ahead of time, because if it's close enough to be muddy as to who tagged first, and just both things happen. So that gets rid of like a lot of the arguments that players have with each other. But then there's also, it's a little bit more forgiving in the sense that we add that wound mechanic. So that way, when you're tagged, you're dropped to your knee and teammates can help you, bring you back up. So again, it's an encouraging like squad play. and coverage and making sure that you're not lone wolfing it and working together with your team. And likewise, the zombies have to have another zombie come and confirm a tag, on a wounded human. So it messes with the turn rate and how quickly things can cycle through the game. It creates a whole host of new things to look at. But I think it makes the game run smoother, and there's less upset when people are actually tagged, because it's not just one mistake that can end someone. It's usually a couple of mistakes that led up to that, where they're like, okay, it was definitely my fault that I was caught isolated, without my team.
Yeah, the kill confirmed definitely, in my opinion, makes for a much more enjoyable game, because like you said, it isn't one mistake and that's it, you're done. You can make a series of mistakes, but you have to make a number of mistakes in a row to get turned, and that's just on you.
Yeah, exactly. Although I did see a couple of turns this game that were like, oh man, that was I watched not one but two triple tags in a row. Same squad. They went from 6 players or humans to 0 because it was a triple confirm. I'm sorry, it was a triple tag, dropped 3 of them. The other 3 ran away. The zombies came in and off to their teammates. And then they came back in to kind of look at the situation. And I was right there. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that zombie came out of nowhere. And then literally another zombie came out of nowhere and tagged all 3 of them, wounded all 3, and zombies came in and just cleaned them. And it was just like, ugh.
Yeah, I saw some beautiful zombie teamwork where one came in, got the first tag, the other one was right behind him, got the second tag, and it was just second. There was no way anybody could have helped. There was no way to have protected that person. The zombies were coordinated and waited for their moment. And you're just like, huh?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. And it definitely was not that way in the beginning. The zombies were pretty disorganized starting off this game. For the first hour, they were just everybody was independently doing their thing, and the humans were kind of wrecking them for a good 45 minutes straight.
It always starts that way, and then once the horde gains momentum, there's just no stopping it.
Yeah. And they did find the flesh beast and get it out probably about hour 20 minutes into the game or so.
And then we locked it up. Ha!
And I loved it. I loved watching it.
Yeah, for all the ill-advised nature of the building the fort in many ways, the fact that it contained the flesh beast for the entirety of more than the second half of the game made up for the fact you're like, wait a minute, we're trying to defend a fixed location against an infinite number of enemies. That doesn't work. We die here.
Yep.
And some of the super zombie abilities made it impossible to hold a fixed location against them. They could just always creep forward on you. If you could just leave, it nullified the power of their abilities. And that was something that I talked about with you at the end of the event. There were a couple that felt OP, and I realized that was only because we were trying to hold a fixed location. If we had just left, then those powers lose their strength.
Yeah. The tank in particular.
The tank's ability to just sit there and wait until their moment. There's nothing you can do against them when they're disabled if you don't have power strikes.
Yeah.
That's not a problem if you just leave. Same thing with rooters. Rooters are absolutely wicked if you're trying to hold a fixed location. But if you just go away...
Yeah, exactly.
So we set ourselves up for that. But the advantages that we got from having a fixed location were also, incredible, because it took those supers to be able to even get close to us, and we kept the flesh beast locked. So it balanced, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. I that's one thing that I always thought about too. Whenever someone said something's overpowered, it's like, well, you're also trying to just go right through it. And this is
have you considered trying to find there's usually a way to get around it, and I love that every year there are occasionally things where we tried this new thing, it was overpowered, and you change it the next year, and this is much better.
Like the scout.
The scout ability was one that everybody realized it was OP by the end of the first game, and it was just a simple matter of they're immune to touch, they're not immune to range. That perfect, problem solved. Same thing with the rooters. Immune to range, not immune to melee. Well, now we've got guys with shields. We can get in there if you're organized enough. There are a lot of them. There is a counter. The humans have just never invested in the counter. And that's on us. That's not on the game design. That's not on the zombies. That's on the humans for not, taking advantage of it. So,
and it's funny that you say that because the counter to the flesh beast always has been surrounded in boxes.
Yeah.
It always
and then defend the boxes. Yeah, if the zombies can't get to it, they can't.
And all of the futzing around with making targets and trying to make it stunnable and the different ways to remove players from it. It's always been because the human players had such a hard time grasping the idea of if we encircle it in boxes, it can't go anywhere. And then like that's how, like, when the Flesh Beast first debuted, there was a bin in the top of it to fill with ammo, and I was like, they're never going to fill that. But the easy counter is just get a couple of engineers and circle it, and it's fine. But they never did it, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I need to make the target easier to hit. And from then the focus became the target and became trying to weaken it, and I was like, I just got to remind the players that you can just circle in boxes. I didn't have to remind them this year, and I was so happy about that.
Yeah. You also made it so you could take out the Flesh Beast with the power attack. I love the concept of the power attack. I think it was overpriced, but that was probably because I was in a position to never be able to gather any XP. So maybe not. But
I agree. I think we can the biggest and easiest tweak for next year is just adjusting some of the purchase prices. Because everything else mechanically seemed very sound, minus
smooth. Because this was the third one I've been to.
Yes, you came at 3.
The third one I've been to, and the changes from the third game to this game are so amazing. The first 2 games, I'm pretty sure I spent more time in line waiting to level up than I spent in the field, and that doesn't make for an enjoyable game.
Right.
And this one, there was almost no waiting in line to level up. It was all semi-automated. You brought your MacGuffins, you put it in the box, you flagged that you had your MacGuffins, you went back out. You came back in at some point and see if a mod had counted your MacGuffins. Yep. If you wanted to do an individual level up, then you had to go level up. But again, because the squad level up had been so streamlined, I think I spent 5, maybe 10 minutes in line leveling up a couple of times. It was so smooth. The only pause in game that I remember was 1 injury, and that was it. 5.5 hours of gameplay, no pauses for resets, no pauses for rebalance. It was just smooth. It was amazing. Never seen an HVZ run that well. Everything happened on time. It was
mostly on time. We did start like maybe a little late, I think 30 minutes late, but I mean, I set those guidelines as targets, and those were the closest we ever gotten to the targets ever. And I think most games always have some kind of delay, even the most smoothly run university games where they're all
usually it's much worse than that.
And
the explanation on what the missions were, that's the other thing I love about the way you do the missions, is the primary missions, there isn't a puzzle involved. It's just gather MacGuffins. It's a lot of MacGuffins, and they can be somewhat difficult to gather, but there's no thinking involved that would hinder your ability to get to the next step. It's just go get the ball pit balls, go find the pictures. And that a lot of HVZs I've been to, they've been trying to get too clever with their missions, and it results in no one being able to complete the missions.
Yeah.
Because it'll be a riddle about a building that if you're not a member of campus that knows the lore of campus, you will have absolutely no possible way of solving that riddle. You'll have no idea what building they're talking about. You'll have no idea where that building is. And yours are go gather the stuff. And then the secondary ones are the more complicated ones.
Yep.
It's you got to drive this MacGuffin to get this thing that then unlocks a thing that then gets a code out of a MacGuffin. But because it's such a small area, there's only so many places you're going to have to go. And if you do need to stop and think about it, you can go out of play and figure out the puzzle and then go back in.
Mm-hmm.
It allows it to be just, more action. There was, as you said, it started out slow and then it didn't let up once it got going. There were no lulls in the horde. It was just go, 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 go. And it was good.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that we got the record keeping and the pit logistics down. And I know that from testimonials and like eyewitness accounts that some of the slowdown that happened in the human armory was entirely because people were using that as an in-game Q&A. Like they were asking, hey, what's this do? How do I use it? And they were asking Andrew, the guy who was running the human pit or the human armory. So some of that could have even been avoided if we just had like one extra body on hand, or like had people directing that towards like Lance or Devin.
A Q&A pit, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, a printed copy of the manual that you just throw at him and said, you should have read this in the months leading up to it. Read it now, you mook.
Well, and even then, I still would like to do like some kind of videos, like just showing what the classes do. So that way players in their downtime, they can cycle through them and look at how things operate.
Yeah, a lot of people are visual learners rather than,
exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes you read it and it makes it appears one way in your head, but if you could see it acted out, like, this is what we mean.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it would also give a convenient place for the Q&A on that, because it'd be in the comments of that video.
Exactly, yeah.
If there's any ambiguity or people are looking for loopholes, as people are wont to do.
They try.
It would be contained in that. It'd be easy to facilitate. So yeah.
But again, the problem with always making videos is that, like, if the rules change, you need to make a new video and you need to update the rules every time. I don't think there's going to be any changes from between the classes.
I don't think there needs to be.
No, for the vast majority of things, yeah. I do think the tank needs just a minor adjustment for close quarters, but in general, I think the rules are absolutely sound for any style of gameplay outside of, the close quarters trying to hold your ground against it.
Yeah, you could make it so that someone with a melee can continue to take flags off a tank.
Or I was even thinking if a human walks up and pulls a flag,
just physically pulls the flag, yeah.
Yeah, it instantly activates the tank, but
right. You risk getting wounded by the tank when he pops up and gets you. But I like that. I actually really like that.
I mean, yeah, it's the risk reward. Like, yeah, you activate the tank and you'll probably take the hit. But if it's just that one tank, then you have your team there.
But if you've got enough humans that can go up and pull all of them all at once and then have your medic come in after the tank has been and thoroughly. Because they had one tank take out, 6 medics?
I was there for that exchange. That was... He was purposely targeting just the medics, and he was waiting to watch those white pennies walk up to start healing the medic, and then he would pull the flag and go tag the next medic, and he was linking his jumps, so he was using all 6 of his hit points to hit only the VIP targets. He couldn't permanently
take out any of the medics, but he could keep them all wounded all day long.
And he when I watched him do that, the only reason he didn't kill all of them at one time is because he miscounted how many medics there were. There was one more medic in the back that came and saved them all.
Brilliant.
I was watching that. I was like, man, that's exactly how I would play it too, is like the most tactically, devastating way possible.
Take out the medics if you can. Yeah. It's you take out the hive minds or whatever is able to spawn zombies in place. That's what you always target first. And take out the medics. Because once they're all gone, that's how I ended up getting taken out. Is a bunch of humans decided to go off to try to finish the last secondary mission, and they took all the medics. So there was not a single medic left in the fort. And so when the rooted spinners showed up, there was nothing we could do.
Yeah,
I got hit by a spinner and was like, well, okay, here's where I die.
Yep.
And eventually some claws came up and killed me. It was lovely. It was a great way. I went out with like 30 seconds before the nuke went off. It's like, damn. So close.
Yeah. I was disappointed that the humans didn't make it to the end mission, but they've made it more than they've ever gotten before. I mean, we had 3 of the 6 requisite teams that finished all the objectives leading up to it. So like all we needed was like 3 more teams to push those secondary objectives. And we had more than enough human teams like complete the primary as well. So like it was just like that's way more than 50% when you think about it. That was like
time. We're just not organized enough yet, and nobody's stepped up to try to organize the humans to actually do that.
You know, it was funny as I was in my crunch mode, like right before the game, trying to construct that RC maze for the hacking mission. There was one point in my head, I was like, I don't even know if I need to worry about making a functional drop target for the final mission, because there's a really good chance the humans will not make it, but just my luck if I did not create.
If you didn't, we absolutely would have. You know how that works. Absolutely.
Yep, I know. So
we'd have blown through all the missions in the first 2 hours, and there you'd been with your thumb up your butt.
Yep. Yeah.
No final mission.
I made sure everything was completely functional, and unfortunately, the RC car mission was too functional. The block covers that we made for the RC cars were just big enough to be navigable through the maze, and just big enough to like take too much time and get caught on everything doing it. So I had to cut those off midway through. So there was an alteration, but it was on the fly, and it made it functional after that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You do what you got to do, man.
In my group, we sat down the day before the event, and we read the rules cover to cover to make sure we hadn't missed anything. And it's a good thing we did, because we had missed something, and that was that stringers weren't allowed.
Oh.
Which was a shame, because I had printed a stringer to be Lance's. It fired Mega XL, and it was Lance's master key. And then we read that and like, oh well, he just takes that off and puts it aside. And I've gotten a lot of questions as to why.
So that is just a pure liability thing, in the fact that
I knew it.
We trust that you guys could dial them in and make sure that they don't hit more than 100 FPS for whatever ammo they're supposed to fire. I trust that, but it's so easy to string a new bungee on and have it hit hotter on the field and do whatever you want. While again, it's that player trust aspect. Like, I know somebody could just as easily like put in a hotter battery too. You know,
swap a spring. My FDL has a dial that makes it hit harder.
Right. And I know that some of those stringers, you cannot overpull either. Like they go to a set point every time, and but it's just a blanket rule for the ease of categorization. Because if you make one exception for a certain kind of stringer, then somebody's going to want to use another one that doesn't quite follow that rule, but is still within the rules. And then one thing I've learned from running events, over the last decade and a half, is players always want exceptions, because there's a very specific toy they want to use, and there's a very specific reason why they want to use that toy. And it's usually because it breaks the rules as intended, but still stays within the rules as written.
Yeah.
And I hate to make a blanket rule to upset a bunch of people for just preventing that one, but all it takes is that one incident to have
Yeah.
So
you got to do it.
My theory had been that it was a restriction by the mall or the city, and that stringers classified as either crossbows or slingshots that could both be banned. I've run into some really weird city ordinances in my day. Yep. Back when I did medieval recreation, I was in a city park testing siege engines, and a cop showed up and said that I wasn't allowed to shoot my bow. The ballista and the trebuchet were perfectly fine, and he went on to fire them himself. But the bow firing a big foam-headed arrow couldn't have that. It was against the ordinance. But there was nothing in the ordinance about trebuchets. So feel free.
Wow. Wow. Yeah,
You're
no,
like,
no.
you know what? I understand your pain, officer. Would you like to fire the trebuchet? You goddamn right I want to fire the trebuchet.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no.
I just want to field a couple of. Go ahead, brother. Then I got a question.
No. Go ahead. We can move away from that. Otherwise, I can talk about club practices all day.
Oh, we can talk about
rules,
all day.
lawyers, and all of those sorts of pedantic Avengers. Yeah.
Well, the good news is that actually leans like into two questions that we got in the chat. So like some people don't know, like the first one is how hard was it for you to convince the mall owner to host your games? And then also Andy Griff is asking, how did the insurance work out for such an event?
Okay, so I did something a little differently with my organization.
Perfect. Take notes, people.
Yeah, to protect myself legally, instead of doing the 501c3 or the non-for-profit, I just did an LLC. So, have I made a profit on this? No, not at all. In fact, I'm really terrified to go through and look at the costs that I've sunk, because when I tell people like, hey, I broke even with the game, I'm usually just looking at the cost of like hosting the venue, the renting the U-Haul, paying for the insurance, like some of the big major costs.
All the little stuff, the MacGuffins, the time, the gas.
So yeah, when I start going into the materials and the time and all of that stuff, that's when I get like thousands and thousands of dollars in the hole, and that's when it gets scary. I can tell you that I've funded everything myself, and I would like to eventually sometime get it back so I can hit zero and the club's completely self-funded. I don't think this game was the game to even get close to that. The game before, we had 196 players. This game, I think we had 146. I still try to keep the pricing as comparatively to like 2 years ago as I could. So we did not make as much as the previous game. We did a lot of extra construction and retrofitting on some things. But yeah, costs are through the roof, and that's one of the things. Like if you want to have a mall host your event, you're going to have to pay mall prices for it, and that's the biggest thing. Our cost of venue is always the most expensive expenditure.
Yeah, venue is always the hardest part of any event.
Yeah, and to rent the mall for one night, it costs $4,600. And which, I mean, it's not bad compared to like some, like if you want to do like an event hall or like a meeting or a convention center or something like that, like you're looking at like $5,000 to $6,000 a day, Easily. So it's and then that's like for like a room at the hall, not necessarily like all of them. So like, yeah, that's understandable. I know
this is an actual active mall that you guys play in, or is it like a closed wing of the mall?
No, it is an active mall, and that's part of like what the logistical like madness of running the game comes from, is that we don't get to actually set up until the mall closes.
Yep. And then they have to be out by the time the mall opens.
Yep.
So, we've gotten quite adept at staging and set up and tear down and like deputizing people and trying to get things kind of, as in the places where they need to be, with, not stepping on toes. But as far as like reaching out to the mall and like pitching the idea, I had two things that aided me in the first year. The first year was 2018, and that was the 40th anniversary of Dawn of the Dead. So nice. I pitched it. I was like, hey, I want to do a commemorative anniversary event. And we even themed the first game for Dawn of the Dead. We had players collect balls in trailers, and there was like a tractor trailer that had to drag the trailers all to the different exits to block the doors for the zombies, so that way that would stop the zombie spawning. Players could hunt the zombies down to 0. And the first mall I went to liked it, and it was a defunct mall that was still had places renting. It was still active. It was the Chesterfield Mall in St. Louis, but the problem was that it was in the process of being sold to another company.
Oh,
And I had a verbal agreement. I had to just essentially sign on the dotted line, and I walked in to go do that. I was like, "Hey, you guys haven't talked to me for last week. What's going on?" They're like, "Oh, we've just been sold." So you need to talk to the new owners.
well, good
And
luck with
when I
that.
called them up, they were like, "Nope, we don't do that stuff. Sorry." And so that was a big letdown. And like I was like, "Well, we advertised for an event. We have people wanting to play this game. We need to find another venue quick." And so that's when we asked at all the defunct malls in the area, all the ones that were struggling, and they didn't want to have anything of it. And then so finally I was like, "Well, wouldn't it be cool to just do it at the mall that's closest to where I live, and that logistically would be easiest?" There's a fat chance that it's going to happen because they got like I think at the time they had like 80% occupancy. I think Mid Rivers is great because I think they actually have like a 90 to 95% occupancy rate at any point in time, because the special leasing manager, who's my contact, is real big on trying to get like new businesses started and like, give them deals on rent to get them in, because she knows that having a vacant store does nothing for anyone. So yeah, it's almost always fully functional. If there's vacancies, it's because something's transitioning out and something's coming in shortly. And she will even let me use stuff on the ground floor that's empty. The problem is nothing's ever empty.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn her proficiency.
Yeah. So it's a cool thing that we got this active mall. Like I said, I walked in, I was like, "Hey, I had this deal with Chesterfield, and this is kind of what I was pitching, and they won't want me to do this anymore." I was like, "I'm looking for a new home," and they're like, "Let's have a meeting about it, and we'll get back to you, shortly." And I got the call, and they're like, "Yeah, we want to do it." I was like, "Sweet," but then they wanted, $5K for it, and I was like, "Ah." So
You're
like the
killing me,
first couple
people.
games, yeah, the first couple games were 5,000, and then after COVID, when we came back for the third game, she's like, "We'll knock it down to 4,600 to try to get players back." I was like, "Thank you." But
Damn decent of them. It probably actually helps that they're not a struggling mall and they don't have to try to squeeze you for every penny.
well, in that was the big thing last year, was that when I felt like a dog coming in with my tail between my legs. I was like, "Guys, I can't do the event this year." I was like, "There's too much going on in my life. There's too much going on in my admin's life with me, or with them." Uh, there was one, Lance was building a new deck, uh, and we had just gotten a cat that we were, rehabilitating and raising and trying to acclimate with another cat. And I was just like, "Oh, geez." Like, on top of that, we have to now do all the Mall Madness prep and setup. And I was like, uh, also, there was a construction project involving my garage that got indefinitely postponed later on. But at the time, it was getting set to be at the same time when Lance's deck project was going on. I was like, "I can't juggle all this at once." And yeah, it was just like, we can't do this year. And so I went into the mall, and she's like, "Oh no, don't worry about it. Come back whenever you want." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, you're not going to make or break us by having the event. Like, we would like to know when you would like to be doing it, so we can kind of plan our finances. But she's like, you guys make us a lot of money very quickly, but it's not, our survival does not depend on it." So
Awesome.
yeah.
Oh, wait. Important question, Kyle.
Mhm.
Have you purchased a Moab, and have you figured out how to use it for next year?
No. Like Xavier was saying, we couldn't have a Moab in the game. As cool as it is, anything that ejects shell casings is just going to be such a tripping and slipping hazard. So
Yeah.
It's specifically in the rules. They allow shell ejecting blasters, but you have to have something that catches them.
Yeah.
They cannot eject to the ground because somebody running through hits a shell on a mall floor, they're gonna break something. In the grass, sure, it just stamps into the grass.
Yeah.
In that mall, now 500 shells all in 10 seconds.
Well, and every single one of those casings ends up breaking into what, 2 or 3 pieces.
Well, no, the shells are themselves just a shell.
Okay.
But
the links.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, and the links, if you step on them, they're going to shatter.
Right.
The shells would probably crack, but they would also definitely roll under you.
Yeah.
No, it would be a logistic nightmare. Like I said, there's ways that you could incorporate them into some games, but they would need to be very, very specific.
Yep. It almost like it would be a really cool thing to have like a Moab set up as a stationary hard point.
Exactly. You can use it for as long as it's not moving and as long as you can catch all this stuff. It's really, really cool. Yeah. But it's, 10 seconds of ammunition for 2 hours of loading.
Yeah. I just
you're
can't
much
see.
Honestly, you're better off with a proton pack of some kind.
Yeah.
Because it just fires rival balls and you can step on them all day. Yeah. It doesn't even damage them to be stepped on, unlike darts.
Right.
You can reload from a bucket. You can make the container as big as you want for a fixed location and just hose away. Or like I do it, strap it to your side of your primary and be able to just, there's a rush of zombies coming. Well, they're going to charge on 3. I'm going to start shooting on 2.
Yep.
And they're going to run into a wall of foam and they're all dead.
Actually, that was one of the questions that was fielded to me before the game was if somebody's doing the bulwark special ability and they're reloading I was asked, can I reload while doing this? It's like, you cannot. They're like, well, can someone reload me while doing it? It's like, absolutely. Because you are not the one doing the reloading.
Without it interrupting your fire, then you'd have to open the tank to put more rounds in, which is going to depressurize the tank, which is going to stop the blaster from firing. So
yeah, unfortunately.
In most cases. On the other hand, something like a Prometheus, where you could just open the top of it and have people pouring buckets of ammo into the top.
That's what I was thinking. Is anything that's gravity fed could probably be fed indefinitely. So
yeah, but if you're standing, the whole point of the bulwark is that the zombies can't tag you while you're doing it, but they could tag the person standing next to you pouring rounds in.
You got it. There's inherent balance to it. Exactly.
But if you had a medic covering that person, anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
the stacking of classes is something that is just so fun, and sometimes people figure it out, and sometimes they don't. The zombies, annoyingly, are really good at it.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, let's put the splitter in a ring. Now they can't shoot the spitters. You're like, damn it.
Yep.
Now I can't shoot the spitters.
So when I debuted the fighter and the gunner class this year, I immediately got some messages talking about, here are some suggestions on how to make it better. And I remember one such exchange with a player who I'm not going to name, but they'll probably recognize it when I describe this. And they're like, hey, the berserk ability is kind of not really that good because you have to be stationary for 30 seconds. Like, yeah, you're invincible, but like, you're eventually just gonna, like, the zombies are just going to avoid you. Can you maybe do it for like a shorter time and let them like jump around like a true barbarian's berserk or something? And I was like, the thought process behind area control and denial is what's going on with the idea of using bulwark or berserk. As like somebody could just as easily waste a full expenditure of Berserk, or I'm sorry, a Bulwark like a Berserk, if they decide to use the ability with a bunch of cover around and the field of fire is bad and the zombies can just duck behind boxes till they're out of ammo and then they're wounded, an easy target. It's like none of these abilities are meant to be like all powerful, like one man army abilities. They're meant to be supported by your team and to support your team. And like chances are like you're going to use your engineers to engineer the field to best suit the ability that you want to use at those specific points. So
yeah, a much better combination than Bulwark is a medic doing boost to your guy with the full auto, but that takes 2 people with at least 6 levels of in each. I loved Gunner because it let me unlock the proton pack in half the time it would have taken otherwise.
Yep.
You know, just put all of it into ammo and boom, proton pack unlocked like 2 hours into the game, maybe.
Yep.
Neat. And then I died with the only ammo left in my proton pack was the ammo in the hose. I had 1 burst of ammo left when I went down. You're like, yes. Like if I died with a full tank, I'd have been just like, oh. But with maybe 50 rounds left, you're like, yes, okay, I'm okay with this death.
So for everybody watching, what did you think of the new classes this year?
Well, I played Gunner, which is I was going to play a heavy gunner anyway. Just now there was a dedicated class that made it even better. Loved it. I never did get around to using the Bulwark ability, and it wouldn't have made any difference if I had, because I got taken out by a spitter. If when I'd seen that they'd thrown, I'd gone into Bulwark, the spit wouldn't have killed me, but the Bulwark would have wounded me. So I would have been in the exact same position anyway. So that one, I could definitely think of times when it would be incredibly useful, Bulwark. If there was a huge horde that was trying to push their way through and you can just stand there and they can't do anything, despite whatever special abilities they have. The tanks can't get you, the spitters can't get you, the rooters can't get you. Nobody can get you until you run out of ammo or stop yelling. That would have been great. Never had that come up. Maybe in a final stand I might have if I'd had a medic standing by. Didn't get a good look at fighter. Before I got into Nerf, I did medieval recreation, so there's a part of me that desperately wants to go tower shield because I see everyone else do it wrong. You're like, you have never trained with a sword and a shield before, have you? It shows. Bah! It's like, there's a rooter. You've got a tower shield. Go kill him.
Exactly, yeah.
Timidly coming up with your 4 foot by 5...
Yeah, I saw that a few times where people were being so timid approaching a rooter.
So timid with a tower shield when you've got an entire firing line of people with machine guns. You're like, no, really, we've got you covered. Go kill them.
Yeah. And again, it's the game has its checks and balances. I always see people. And it does. I always see people wanting to do this with Scout, just lead everybody. It's like, okay, yeah, that's fine for checking your blind spots and corners, but the report ability for Scout is so. I thought that was so broken. Like the ability to take 6 steps backwards to your squad, and like hide behind your firing line, like to go take out a rooter. Like you run up with a sword and pop a rooter. You get tagged, but then you take your 6 giant steps back and it doesn't matter because your firing line is still where. And I haven't seen anyone make use of that yet. And it's just
the varying abilities and the way that they can be used, and again the way they can be stacked. If you've got a heavy gunner and a sword and a shieldman, well now you're protected against the spitters because the shield guy can cover you both from the spitters. If you've got a medic, then behind that. If you get 2 guys with tower shields, now you're darn near unstoppable if you've got a heavy gunner in between you. You can easily cover both yourself and the medic and the gunner. But the other thing is, I came from leading a professional army of professional mercenaries where we drilled constantly with tower shield, with polearm, with archer. We knew how to actually work as a unit in ways that these people have never done that. There's no way for them to know how to do that. That takes drill to do it well.
Yep.
But
I was really kind of worried this year that by allowing players to take melee buffers up to like whatever rating they want. You know, I'm glad I didn't see anyone bring a 10-foot pike, but you know, but like
wouldn't fit in my carry-on, or I might have.
but allowing people to now take pole arms. You know, it's I was thinking, well, this might be the end of the rooters' effectiveness, but nope.
No,
All right,
we
wait, I have
haven't.
a question.
Again, we don't have. Yeah, because by the time the humans have gotten that level of melee unlocked, the rooters are rooting spitters.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the counter to the melee, is they can't. Again, so then that's why you've got the shield to get your. And again, you've got to work together. You've got to actually know how to move as a unit. You've got to know how to communicate. And most people don't have that level of level of drill, that level of training.
Yeah.
And the problem is the humans don't get to make as many mistakes as the zombies. The zombies can just keep making mistakes all day and eventually figure out what works and what doesn't. The humans don't get to make as many mistakes. The fact that you have a kill confirm system means you get to make more mistakes. And I love that. And I absolutely am planning to incorporate that into any event that I run. Because it, as you said, it makes it feel less bad when you get taken out, because it took a lot more effort to take you out. You had to have made multiple mistakes to actually get turned, and you can be like, okay, now that was on me. Or you can just like, I'm not even mad. That the combination they took me out with was amazing.
Yep. Yeah. All right, Al, you said we got a question.
So for those of us that were not at the event, and I love the fact that you guys are into it, then explain to us the classes. How many classes did you have? And did you pick right from the beginning, or was that obtained through the game?
So, the humans they're essentially like equipment classes. Each level or rating they take of a class, it eats up some of their inventory, and that's what the true leveling up system is in the game, is through experience or by completing missions. It increases your inventory, and with your available spaces now, you can then fill them with like your equipment rating for like classes or more ammo. And it's a standard block of 25 rounds eats up one inventory space. So under normal conditions, to hit like an infinite ammo cap at 300 rounds, it's going to take a level 12 or like 12 inventory spaces devoted straight to your ammo and blasters to hit 300 and then unlock something unlimited. Likewise, like every melee buffer is rated by foot, so like you could have a 1-foot sword, that's one inventory space. You could have a 3-foot sword, it's going to take 3 inventory spaces. Likewise, all your shields are rated on square footage, so like a 1 square foot shield is going to be 1 inventory space. And I think, again, that's where this game is like really special, is that it's balanced in the sense that every single thing that you bring onto the field that either helps defend you from being tagged or helps tag things better is all going to be roughly equivalent. And I do the same thing with zombies.
RPG video games I grew up on, man.
Oh yeah. No. I if anything, like the balancing aspect of things and like trying to streamline it into a unified system. Like obviously there's not always a 1-for-1. There's some balances that inherently go to like zombie favor at times, like they get 2 feet per every rating instead of the humans 1 foot when it comes to melee. But if that happens, it's because I'm doing something to also hinder them. Like the noodles count as extensions of their arms. So if the noodle is hit with a melee weapon, then the zombie is stunned. So it's not they get more length quicker, but they're also vulnerable by it. Or like the zombie claws, the zombies don't just hold them like swords, so they don't get their wrist mobility. They're kind of gauntlets that they wear around their forearms, so they are only swinging their forearms for it. And so the extra range comes at the mobility of being able to be dexterous with your wrist and thread. So
love it.
Yeah,
I get what your point, like checks and balances. Yeah, you think this is the greatest thing, but understand, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And this comes from years of play testing of
yeah. And that's one of the things, like I would love to do a video about how every piece of equipment has developed throughout the years, because like on some of my pieces of gear, like on their 3rd or 4th iteration, because like the first couple of times it's like, okay, that was work, that was a good idea, it kind of worked, but like the handle wasn't strong enough, or like it was too flimsy, or no, that was too dexterous, we need to fix how quick the zombies can swing that, or how hard they can swing it. But like I said, every piece of equipment is rated. Humans, as they progress, they increase their inventory space so they can kit out the kind of gear that they want to do based on like how much inventory they have. So if a human wants to run around with like 100 rounds of ammo and a 2-foot sword, you're looking at 4 inventory spaces for the ammo and 2 inventory for the 2-foot sword. So you would have to be rating 6. So like as you climb up to that rating, like say maybe you do at rating 3 only 25 rounds of ammo in the sword. If you want to get it out sooner, that's go ahead, or you might do 75 rounds of ammo. Like it's up to the player. But the classes then come in, like they offer caveats and special abilities. So we have 6 human classes and 1 that's kind of like an honorary class called the squad leader. Squad leader doesn't eat up any inventory. It's just each squad needs a leader. They're in charge of keeping track of squad progression and objectives. And that's new. Well, the squad leader existed the previous year, but we gave him a lot more responsibility this year, which was, I think, a success, because it allowed it allowed us to free up pit space to have trust players to kind of micromanage their own squads. But so squad leader is just like a den mother, if you will. Then first real class is the medic. Medic can bring people back up, and with each rating that somebody stacks into medic, they can bring somebody back up faster. So it starts at 30 seconds, and then with each increment reduces 5 seconds off of that. At rating 6, you can bring somebody up in 5 seconds. Nice. And then every class gets a rating 6 capstone ability. So, and that's what Captain was talking about, the boost ability. Like at rating 6, the medic can essentially overcharge a player by keeping their hand on a player's shoulder and making them invulnerable. The trade-off being that the medic is still vulnerable. If your medic that's charging you is hit, then they go down, you lose the ability immediately. But then there's an engineer. Engineers can move boxes, and that's something that, again, I haven't talked about too much to the players watching, or not the players, but the individuals listening, is when we host this game at the mall, it's unlike any other game as well, because I have about 300 some odd boxes of like recliner boxes. I used to work at a furniture store, and I realized that these 3 feet by 3 feet, double corrugated recliner boxes were awesome cover. And I just started saving them. I got 2 columns stacked tall from garage floor to ceiling in the back of my garage that I just stage them in. And these things are just massive, but they're the pop-up cover, and they're light, and players can move them in game. At least the engineers can, and that's what the engineer abilities can do, is they can move them further and further, or farther and farther with their ability. So like at rating 1, you can move it 1 step. At rating 6, you can move it 6 steps away. And at rating 6, the engineers can actually just doze with them, which is just push entire stacks of them at one time. So you can essentially move a wall of cover if you want to. Another
Dude, that's
class.
awesome. Someone had just asked too if someone just asked how you made cover. So keep going. Perfect. You're answering questions. I don't even know you're answering them. Keep going.
but yeah. Again though, like the venue lends itself to that kind of use with the recliner boxes, because you
smooth floor.
Yeah, I was gonna say the smooth
long hallways,
floor.
Smooth floor, lots of open space that needs to be broken up.
Yep. I mean, the mall has some cover. It has some, benches, and it has some potted plants and some kiosks and whatnot. But it's not enough to like really make an interesting combat field for HVZ. And the fact that there's just so many boxes that need to be placed, like even when the humans move them around or the zombies move them around, like, yeah, there might be some places that become cover deficient, but then there's going to be some places that are so saturated with cover that it completely changes the dynamic. The battlefield is completely in flux at all points in time, and it's just
How cool is that?
the first couple games I was really adamant about like making maps and trying to design structures and set things up to a schematic, and then like by the time I got to like game 3, I was like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because I have classes to deconstruct this stuff almost immediately. So,
I remember, I think it was the first game. The big human plan for what to do with the cover was destroy it all. They just flattened every single piece of cover, so there was nowhere for the zombies to hide. And it became a tripping hazard. We had to move it all to the sides because people were hitting flattened boxes and gliding.
Yep, and that's exactly why the rules are now that all boxes have to remain upright the entire time.
You can't actually flatten them anymore, which is a very, very good rule.
Yeah,
but you can still move them, which, I mean, we could have just moved them all out of the center of the hallway and also cleared up all the cover. But instead, we built forts with all the cover.
Well, and again, moving them all off to the side then creates like these places where, yeah, they're out of the way and you got clear field of fire, but a complacent human walking by that might find a zombie hiding, you know. And again, it still gives zombies the chance to attack from angles and points of attack that people wouldn't expect. So.
Is there still a zombie zombie class that can move cover?
Yes, yeah, the wrecker still exists, and it does everything the engineer does. Except it does not have the doze ability. I got rid of all the capstone abilities for the zombie analogous. So,
they don't need the help. They're immortal.
No, they don't. I know.
Their capstone is infinite respawn.
And that was exactly why, like, I tweaked the human armor a little bit. Like, I got rid of that shrug ability from it being the whole underlying ability. And it only became a capstone rating 6.
Right.
So yeah, another human class is the armor class, and it essentially gives you like extra hit points. It essentially gives you extra lives. Each time you add a rating point of armor, you add a new pull flag, and zombies have to pull the flags before you lose your life and get turned to a zombie. So. If you get wounded and you're down and a zombie comes up, pulls a flag, that would have been a death. But, you know, luckily the armor soaked it. And at rating 6, armor is strong enough that you can count yourself back up in. It's not as fast as a rating 6 medic, but, you know, it's enough to, like, kind of play on your own if you're willing to risk it. But unfortunately, there was a little bit of a discrepancy in the rules where in past iterations, I had written that if a human is tagged while they're wounded, while wearing the armor, they have to give up a flag as well. Like the zombie doesn't have to necessarily pull the flag physically. So when I rewrote and cleaned up that rule this time, somehow I had omitted that. So I was yelling at players to, hey, if a zombie tags you, give them a flag. And I had players trying to run away without the zombies pulling their flags. I was like, they tagged you while you were wounded. Give up the flag. And they were getting mad at me. And I was like, wait a minute. There has to be a reason why.
So many people have this wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it was. Andrew found it. He was like, hey, you don't actually have it written there anymore. I was like, oh, crap.
No.
Yeah.
Question.
But yeah. Yes.
Do you play creepy ambient music in the mall while this is happening?
I haven't yet, but that is actually one of the things we're looking at for the future is doing some wireless speakers and SD cards for certain areas to have certain sectors that are sound ambiance. Yeah.
I like that.
So yeah, we were actually talking to a haunted house designer about that.
That's exactly where my brain was going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because it would have to be wireless and it would have to be able to run off of just some kind of SD flash card with a loop. So, but but yeah. No, that's actually really inexpensive and easy to do. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that's something we want to do. In the first year, we were trying to use the Mall's PA to actually play the original Dawn of the Dead soundtrack, but the Mall's PA is really bad, so we never got a chance to do it.
I vaguely remember talking about that last time you were on.
Yeah. Let's see. Next class would have been the Scout. That was new last game, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Scout was new last game, and what that does is the ability is called Report for each rating that the Scout has. It allows them to take one step back before they take their wound. So if they walk around a corner, because they're point man on their squad like they should be as Scout, and they get tagged, then they get to take one giant step back, for each rating. So like a rating 3 Scout, they get popped. That's 3 steps back to their squad before they take their knee and they take their wound. And it's like I said, I thought that was going to be so OP. I thought Scouts were just going to be everywhere, like melee, tagging rooters, or like just leading squads, and nobody was going to get surprised anymore. And on the rating 6 capstone ability is stealth, which they can't hold anything in their hands, and they have to keep them crossed above the crown of their head. And while they're doing that, they're invulnerable to melee tags. And what we were talking about before, when I introduced that last game, we had a bunch of Scouts just running around invulnerable, and nobody could kill them. So
yeah, they were just invulnerable last time. This year they added that they could be taken out by spitters, which is the perfect counter to the problem last year. Was there was just no way to ever take them out.
Well, and it made sense too, because like if you can't see a target, like in video games, or like thinking of like depth charges with like submarines, like if you can't see a target but you kind of know something's over there, you area affect it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
So
it absolutely makes perfect sense. It was a perfect balance for it. Yeah. I did know a couple of people who were really using the report ability to, because they had a huge stride. So their 6 steps was 30 feet.
Yeah.
They were halfway across the mall when you tagged them, and they were halfway across the mall. You're like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be being used.
Okay, good. I didn't see it, but I'm glad to hear that it was being used properly. Good.
Yeah.
And then this year we added 2 specialist classes. Was that?
Yeah, 2 new ones.
Yeah, 2 specialist classes, and that was Gunner, which every rating they take, they get 2. But specifically for like power shots and ammo. So a rating 6 Gunner essentially sinks the whole 12 points needed to get unlimited ammo. So I mean, at rating 6 or 12 inventory, I'm sorry, a 6 inventory player with all 6 points sunk into Gunner could get unlimited ammo out onto the field pretty quickly.
Yeah, which is what I did. We only had to complete like half the ball gathering and half of the dossiers, and that was 6.
Yep.
I had my unlock. We managed to get a few more later on, so I was able to get a melee weapon and a power attack in, and I was good to go.
Oh yeah.
Only I'd sunk some money into a med kit.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that I think med kits might have been a little too pricey for people wanting to invest in them. Because the med kits, like, if I'm looking at how I want to play the game, me, a player in my own game, I don't think I would ever be without a med kit. I would rather be underpowered at all points in time and have the ability to like possibly get myself out of a pinch and keep playing.
And I absolutely agree. The problem is I was never in a position to gather XP.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the way the squad that I ended up with chose to play, I was always behind the wall shooting zombies, and was never... We had a couple of guys who decided, I want to go gather that XP, and they all died.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like go figure to you. Okay, all right. So quick deviation off topic. I know that Captain, you're a Warhammer fan, right?
Oh yes.
Al, I don't know if you are.
I know about it. I'm a fan, but I will fail every quiz or exam. But it's great.
That's okay. There's
Yes.
a really cool novel for Warhammer 40K. It's called Storm of Iron. It deals with the Iron Warriors. They're siege tacticians and experts.
Yep.
And one of my favorite scenes in the novel, they launch an assault on a fortress, and the people who are defending the fortress are so proud that they wait until the assault gets into the range of all their big guns, and they immediately open fire and they just level this assault. And then the Iron Warriors dig trench lines just outside of that range. And they realize that the big mistake was, oh, we just showed them exactly how far we can shoot. And that's what I think every time of like the zombies have and the humans have their firing line, is that the humans open fire and the zombies know exactly how far the humans can fire and, you know, effectively hit their targets. And then they work their way forward, but they set up that like real danger zone where you're just outside the human defense line with the firing line, and like that's where all the zombies can hide in the corners. And you venture out into that space where like, okay, it doesn't look like there's zombies. I'm going to pick up the XP. There's always like 5 zombies hiding in the corners, like just outside of range that you didn't know about.
Yeah, that was.
They were
the
able
beauty
to
of the
advance
blaster
behind
that
the
I run.
shields. You didn't see them.
Yeah. My primary is an FDL 3. If I can see you, I can hit you in Mall Madness. And there were many a zombie tagged from a range they were sure they were safe, and then took a dart to the side of the head, and they're looking around going, where did that come from? And I'm way in the distance waving at them. But I can't go get that XP. Yeah, they had to drop their thing and go respawn, but I can't get that. It's halfway into, it's behind enemy lines at that point. But we had a couple of guys, they would go forth and get the XP of all the zombies that I tagged, and then, 2 zombies would come out of nowhere and double tap them, and just like, there is nothing I could have done to protect. I was covering them, and there was no time when I could have shot those zombies. Even if I had, they were already in motion. Those tags would have still counted. Even if I'd lit them up with proton rounds, that tag was still in motion. You're like, yeah.
But to wrap up the classes, like the gunner is just a specialist class so that you get your big guns out faster, or if you want to play like a power shot, like where you use a special ammo to take out the special zombies real quick.
I liked that addition.
Oh yeah. The power shot was much needed, and I still will die on the hill that when you're playing a massive HVZ game, specialized ammo is terrible. However, I think by making the players yell power and announce it as they did it,
and having to pay for it, because that was the problem with Survival Fest is they had vests that made you so you can only be taken out by certain ammo, but the players had an infinite amount of that ammo. Right. And that's just it. By regulating it ourselves and making you like contribute the ammo that you wanted to use in the game, possibly buy, with gameplay. Like I said, I'll make it cheaper for the next game, but like it's still going to be regulated. Still needs to be tracked. Yeah, no, it absolutely has to be. The way you did it was good. The only thing that I say was, and again, I say it was too expensive because I was a player who couldn't get my hand on XP. Players who were out there on the front line gathering 75 XP every other round might feel that it was not too expensive, but
go figure.
It was neat to see it used. I did get to use it. I got to use Power Attack twice.
Was it effective?
It was incredibly effective because both times I took out nests of rooters.
Good.
So there was a nest of rooters that I couldn't do anything about, and then I remembered I had it, and Power Attack hit one of them. They're all gone. All of you.
Yep.
Out.
Yep. Everybody who had a foot in the ring, you're all gone.
You're all gone. You're like, yes. Yeah. And I had printed that blaster specifically for that event, and then it worked because I had a special blaster for Survival Fest, and both times I pulled it, the damn thing failed, and I got tagged.
Oh.
So I printed a brand new one that would work, and it did, and it was great. And I think I either took out another rooter or I took out a tank with the other one. But Yeah, I used it twice, and it saved me twice. So it was
Okay.
and I got to see a lot of people take out the Flesh Beast a couple of times using it either with power attack melee or power attack.
Yeah, I did see it used on the Flesh Beast 2 or 3 times. One time though, I did see a little bit of upset because the zombies learned that obviously if somebody's coming into power attack or power shot the driver, which will stun all of them and leave the Flesh Beast empty and vulnerable wherever they leave it. The zombie did the smart thing, and one of the attached zombies like ducked in front and took the shot.
Yeah.
So that one zombie got offed and ran away to go respawn, and then the Flesh Beast still kept coming, and the guy who fired the shot stood there because he didn't realize what had happened, and then he still got tagged by the Flesh Beast. And he's like, well, I used the power shot. I was like, yeah, but
you hit a tentacle. The driver.
Yeah, you have to hit the driver. You have to hit the brain. And he's like, well, it didn't say that in the rules. It's like, it did say that in the rules, like in 2 different spots. So.
Yep. Yeah, they probably got confused with the fact that if you hit a rooter, it takes out everyone. But hitting a flesh-based tentacle does not take out the flesh-based. It just takes out the tentacle. Yeah.
And that was one of those things where I was kind of debating on whether or not it would be good to harmonize that with the other rule, just so it's ease. But I think there's something that needs to be done with the Flesh Beast that makes it unique.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like the fact that to take out the whole thing, you have to take the head. Whereas the rooters, you're all connected, and that one should take it out.
Yeah. And again, that kind of it's about the only way that you can replicate a grenade explosion with the game is everybody who's attached gets boomed, And like a boss, if you boom an arm, the arm goes away and it might regrow eventually, but you have to hit the head to actually damage the boss,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
last class is fighter, and it's basically a melee equivalent of a gunner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which one of the biggest problems that I always saw with the game was nobody could bring shields out to defend themselves because the shields were a cost sink. Nobody wants to pay hard-earned inventory spaces for defense. They want to still be effective on the field. And I understand that, like, I could find value in a shield and a blaster or a shield and a sword at the old rates. But I figured, you know what, let's go ahead and make a dedicated class to melee, shield and buffer. And so it climbs double rate just like the gunner does. So, and we saw a lot more shields out, and it was good. A lot of
shields. Tragedy was, like I said, nobody knew how to properly use a tower shield.
Exactly.
But it's a hard thing to know how to properly use. There's a reason the Romans drilled with them constantly. It takes practice to know how to move quickly while not exposing yourself, and to be able to attack around your shield without overly exposing yourself. And
and again,
I am very tempted next game. At some game, I'd like to play a fighter. We will see. Now that they're 2 years apart, I have to be a little bit more like, okay. Because next game, I would really like to put together enough squads of dedicated semi-professional to try for a human victory.
I think you guys could. Like I said, the victory conditions were close enough this year.
Yeah.
That I was kind of expecting it to happen at first. Like when I was watching the humans in the first hour just steamroll the zombies, I was like, this game's going to be over in 3.5 hours.
Yeah, the thing you changed from last year to this year that I think made the difference was last year you could complete the secondary objectives before you completed the primary objectives.
Yes.
And that's what my squad did. We went and got the hard ones out of the way while the horde was small, and then dealt with the super easy primary ones. And you made it so you couldn't do that. So by the time you got all your primaries done, the horde had gotten nasty, which I absolutely support. That's the way it should be, because what's the point of having primary and secondary if you don't have to do them in order?
Right.
But it didn't mean I wasn't going to take shameless advantage of it last time.
Right. Well, and but the secondary objectives were pretty much only dependent on the one maze, the hacking maze.
The maze is another one was just knowing where the big heavy thing is. Yeah.
Well, and there was 12 of them throughout the mall. So like it was just, you could stumble upon one of them and find them. But no, like the fort was more or less set up around or near the hacking maze. So
which
like
was the point. Yeah, that's why we put it there.
It was just only one squad, I think maybe two squads actually did any kind of completing of it. So
yeah, the fort was a neat idea. The problem was it took 3 squads out of play. We stopped trying to do any further objectives once we got our keystones unlocked.
Yeah,
which meant, we weren't working towards that secondary objective, but
yeah,
we were making it so that there was a safe place everyone else could. They just weren't coordinated enough.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is if the humans ever want to win Mall Madness hardcore, they're going to have to work together more.
Yep.
There needs to be more teamwork. There needs to be people dedicated to acquiring the MacGuffins, not just for themselves, but for anybody else.
Yeah.
You need a better sharing of information. Where are the MacGuffins? I know how I would do it. If I were going to go, okay, this year we're winning, I know what would need to be done, I think. I don't know if we'd be able to pull it off, but I know how I would try.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to do that and be a fighter. I would have to pick which one of those I want to do. Do I want to organize the humans and try to go for a victory, or do I want to go out with a sword and board and flail on zombies for fun? So, yeah, we'll see. We will see. I like
Options,
that I have 2 years to do it.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing, is that I think by setting a dedicated every other year schedule, not only is that going to free up everybody else to go to different games, and experiment, but it's also going to allow everybody else to like focus on hosting games before coming out. It'll allow me to travel next year and hopefully go visit everybody else at their games, because I know I get invites all the time.
Yep. So, I want to start alternating where I go, because I've gone to Maryland Mayhem like 4 years in a row or something.
Yeah.
And I haven't gone to RAG in a couple of years, and so I would like to next year not go to Maryland, but do go to RAG. I probably won't go to Survival Fest again, but I might go to another End War finally. I haven't been to End War since 2019. Colorado guys keep inviting me to an event, but it's always too near another event, and so I can't go. RIT keeps inviting me to an event, but it's always too close to another event, and I can't go.
Well, and I think that would be a really good thing for everybody's event hosts to sit down in a big round table and discuss
communication within this hobby. Madness.
Yeah, I know. But it would really cool if we all just kind of like picked a month, and if we wanted to pick a month that's also occupied by another game, like alternate years and support each other's events, and we could get bigger events by staggering. And like, we're not going to do the same event every year, but that will allow alternating events and allow cross exposure. And I mean, because like, I was actually thinking about changing up the date to going into September just to avoid RAG. But
the beauty is that since you're an indoor event, you can do it whenever. We're looking at doing our mall event in February because it's indoors and no one else is going to have an event that month.
Right. But the trade-off to that also is that, like, I mean, having everybody like have set times where everybody can kind of expect something too, and like alternating, like, again, that will foster this kind of, now everybody's leapfrogging and they're knowing where we can find each other and jump.
If only there was an organization dedicated to bringing all members of the hobby together in one place.
Gee,
welcome to the World Foam Alliance.
One day.
Yeah, that is long-term part of the goal, is to have a central calendar of all the major events, because currently there really isn't one.
Right.
A central location where all the events are on the calendar. All of those clubs are on a map. You can click on a club and see what their events are. You can click on the calendar, see where all the events are. So it's easier to see who's scheduled what when. Because one of the downside, it's a good thing and a bad thing that we have no centralized authority within our hobby. The good thing is it gives us a lot of independence and we don't get bogged down in bureaucracy and power games and all of that nonsense. But we also have no organization and no communication between groups.
Yeah.
There are no standards is another problem.
Well, and I know I've been invited by other groups to help with their planning and design stuff before too. And they always want to ask me like right after coming off of a Mall Madness. And like at that point, I'm just like,
nope.
I hate everybody.
I hope you all.
Yeah. I just get crotchety old man on them. I'm like, man, I don't want to plan your events. You know, like at this point, like I don't even want to show up to events. I just want to crawl into a hole and die for the next 3 months. And then maybe, you know, when February rolls around, I will think about grabbing a Nerf blaster again. But and again, it's not that I dislike the hobby. I love the hobby. It's just that running an event is such a draining, taxing experience. And
I don't think most people really understand how taxing it is to run an event.
They don't.
And they definitely don't understand how difficult it is to balance an HVZ.
No.
And keep it enjoyable, because if the horde doesn't grow, then you're just walking around. If the horde grows too fast, everyone gets wiped out. Getting that balance so that there's enough people that they could complete the final mission. The other thing is, usually the humans almost always lose because that balance is not maintained well enough. Because once the horde gets going, it's real hard to hold them back.
Yes.
And then you run out of humans, and you get 20 people coming to a last stand that you would have needed 100 humans to ever hope to complete the final mission.
Correct. Yeah.
But if they hadn't helped the zombies grow, and so that there would be 100 humans, it would be a really boring game, and those poor 20 zombies would have been shot in the face 1,000 times.
Yep.
And they're not going to be having any fun. How do you balance that? There is no perfect way to do it.
Right. Right. Well, and honestly, the whole volunteer zombie, like we have our alphas have the ability to trade out, you know, after they get their levels up to 2. That's actually
once you've taken out 2 humans, you get to go back to being a human again.
But
you start as a level 3 human, level 2 human.
Well, then they start as a human wherever their squad's at, mission level.
Okay.
So whatever their squad has done in their absence, they just join in. That's where they start at. Yeah. But that's actually a mechanic that we took. I think it might have been the first End War when we were at Athens a long time ago. Because
Troll Squad has a long and valuable tradition of how do you get people to volunteer to be zombies? Everyone wants to play a human. You brought your fancy Nerf blaster. You want to use your fancy Nerf blaster. Well, if you say, okay, you get to be a zombie in mission 1 and then you go back to being a human, you get a lot more volunteers.
And that's exactly what happened. Was I was on I think that was like 30 or 40 some odd people who was in Troll Squad for mission 1. And that was some of the most fun I had that game. And like I was just like, you know what? Having players start as zombies and then go back after they've done their due or like earned their keep, like it's smooth. It's like we had never toyed with the idea. And I want to say, what was that? 2017, I think that game was. Because I think NVZ was 2016. Yeah, so 2017. And it was just like, that's something that we have to look at doing. And I think maybe the third Mall Madness was the first one when we had players going back, or if it wasn't the third, it was the fourth. But yeah, it was just like we have to get our players who want to volunteer to be zombies, you know, some kind of reward.
Yeah, and they deserve it because they've done a service.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or at the very least, if they don't get a reward, they shouldn't be penalized. So that's why they get to stick whatever their squad's numbers were.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the zombie specialties?
So in this game, again, where it gets the name mutation from is that for every tag or assisting tag zombies do, including pulling armor flags off of the armored humans or
Picking up med
even
kits.
even picking up spent med kits that players use to revive themselves. They take that, and those are worth levels, and each zombie level, same thing, functions effectively like inventory, and they progress up the mutation ranks, and I think we have 9 total mutations now, not counting the flesh beast. And again, they're all rooted on, I say rooted, they're all based on things that actually help to play tag with. And I know, like, there's a big, huge book on like every special that you can do in games, and some specials are more effective than others. Like, some are really cool and creepy, and some are, really thematic. Like I've seen chargers where they're invincible while they're charging on a straight line. I've seen
tanks that take multiple hits. I've seen ones that are only affected, they only activate when they hear sound, ones that are affected by light, ones that are I've seen wild super zombies over the years.
Yeah, and they're all neat ideas, but like I kept it rooted in the physicality of how do they interact with, melee and range tags. So like I have 3 of them that I consider like my offensive classes, like for players that are really active. Like the tentacle class, every rating point a zombie goes up. And keep in mind, like, it's 1 rating point per assisting tag and 2 rating points per every like confirmed tag. So like you tag 3 humans, they all take knees, and then zombies come in and mop up after you. Like, they'll each get 2 points for the confirmation, but then you'll get 3 points for the 3 tags that led to that. So, and that's what I saw a couple times. Multi tag kills where obviously the person who dropped the players didn't get as much initially, but because they had enough people come and confirm, they made way more points quicker than everybody else. But like the tentacle, again, like I said, it's weak to melee. Like, it doesn't count for like a sword, or it's not like
it's part of the zombie. So if you hit the tentacle,
zombie, yeah.
Same if you shoot it with a dart, but it's harder to know your noodle got hit.
Yeah, but even then, shooting it with a dart, technically is a tag. And
I know if my noodle got hit, just for the record, but we might be talking about other things.
But every rating that goes up, they get plus 2 feet. So when I hit a rating 6 tentacle zombie, they've got a 12-foot long segmented pool noodle. So got a rope strung through them, and there's a ball on the end of it, so that way it's weighted, and
it goes over cover. It's nasty.
Oh yeah. You can think that you're hiding behind some boxes and you're safe, and then all of a sudden you get dropped on by a noodle, and it's just like, yep, somebody lobbed a tentacle up and over, and that's exactly what happens. Now I'm wounded down here behind a box. Hopefully the zombie doesn't see me on a knee and call his buddies over. Likewise, another offensive class we have is the claw class, or the blade class, and the reason why that one's unique is because they're PVC core blades with the foam over them. But like I said, they're kind of like gauntlets. Like, you can't use your wrist for mobility. You swing your arm, and that's where the claw. Think like Baraka from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Or Wolverine. When you get like 3 claws. But the idea is that each rating you go up, you get more claws. So you go from like 1 claw to like a claw in each hand. Then you'll get like 2 or 3 claws per hand, and that's so that way you can be like really kind of dangerous in skirmishing, because like you can block with your claws. They count as swords, and you can tie up swords and twist them, and strike with your other hand, and so you're supposed to be like more melee offensive. And then lastly is a kind of like a combination class between the 2 of them, and that's our lasher class, where it's like a claw in that you get multi striking points, but they're flimsy because they're noodle appendages. And we actually redesigned that one for this year because we had these big lasher gauntlets, and I was like, you know what, I don't like the fact that it's just 1 gauntlet on 1 hand. So I was like, we got to figure out a way to have people be able to loop and swing and lash from multiple angles, and I want 2 of them per. And so we got a bunch of pool noodles like on forked mounts, so that we hold them like wands and swing them around now.
Dude, that's awesome.
But again, like they're weak like a tentacle is. Like you can strike it with a sword or hit it with a dart.
Yeah,
that stuns a zombie.
excellent.
But what's cool about those is that like you can definitely get around shields because they whip around. They're segmented. So
And since no one knows how to use a tower shield, which reminds me, I feel like when he's sitting there going, "What should my next video be?" It's going to be a full-on. Listen, this is how we're using a tower shield, and it'll be an hour long, but it'll be worth every penny of it. Anyway,
if I go for the I want a human victory next game, there will definitely be tutorials on how to better combine and work in squads and use the classes.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be part of the squad, here's the test. Show me a video, and I'll let you know. But we're running out of, we're down to about last 5 minutes or so. But so a couple of things. So again, for those following along, it is a bi-yearly event. So it will not be next year, but it'll be the year after. And again, probably again after the end of summer. And again, how much was it? How much is it for the event? So I can yell at you and tell you to charge more.
We charge $50 per ticket, and then the additional overhead was just fees and taxes from Eventbrite. So
perfect. With inflation, I'm going to guess next one is going to be $75, and no one will complain about it. Especially if you just listen to the man give you a brief overview of the details of every single thing that is involved in a mall. Like, come on, man. Like, I want to take tidbits of this when someone says, "Why is it that much money?" Shut your mouth. Watch this, and then come back and try your lame ass excuse to me why you think this is overpriced. Come on, man.
The thing for me about everyone wanting HVZ to always be free. This is something that's been part of HVZ forever. And it was because it was being played on college campuses and they didn't want people making profit off of a college club kind of thing.
Right.
But then we started doing invitationals and they didn't want people to charge for invitationals, which is like, well, how are you going to pay for these events? Right. And for things like Mall Madness, I'm carrying $3,000 worth of Nerf blasters. I'm traveling halfway across the continent.
Yeah.
The $50 price ticket on the is pocket change on the cost of this event for me. I'm paying more in food.
Yep.
On the airplane than I am for the event. You're like, what do you mean you're annoyed that the ticket is $50?
Yeah.
You were never going to come in the first place. Yeah.
So this year I kept an actual pretty detailed ledger of all of our expenditures leading up to the event, including all the construction costs for retrofitting some of the gear and repairing some of the broken bits and like objective construction, printing, and all of that. So, and we were looking at, it was, I want to say like 8,500 plus. It was not a final total. I was still missing a few expenses like the insurance and the U-Haul, which I think was another 500 between the two of them. So, I mean, we could say it was about
you're not even toying with putting in the cost of your time.
Yeah,
I know, and it's you know what it is, but I love I love that you lay it right out, so it's very clear what you spend on. But at the same time, the problem is then you get somebody that thinks knows better. Well, why? You know what? Shut your damn mouth. When you go to a movie theater and you're paying for a theater, does it tell you what everyone gets paid for? How much the damn popcorn machine was and the guy that cleans the thing? No, $35. Here's the taxes. Thanks. You know what I mean? I feel like we're getting to a point now where it's like, do you honestly, like, if you're in the hobby and you're following anybody, no one's flying around in private jets or just like throwing money out. Like, you've been involved or volunteered.
PDK and Aaron Esser, but we don't talk about them.
Those are different. They're a little different. That's a different thing than what we're doing.
You're not even a nonprofit. You don't need to be transparent. You're more transparent than most nonprofits, and you're not even a nonprofit. It's just people whining to whine.
And you know what? Shut your mouth.
I mean, I do think that this year. Yeah, I do think this year we did see a little less attendance, not because of the price, but just because things are a little tighter for people this year, and that's one of the things.
It was also the weekend after RAG.
That's true too.
And that did not help because that's where you lost Flux and a lot of the other big names went to Rag instead of Mole Madness because they had to pick one or the other. But that is also because, like you said, things are tighter and they couldn't do two events. I couldn't have done Rag and Mole Madness in the same month either. But I absolutely am going to choose Mole Madness over Rag any day of the week.
And it's flattering every time you say that. Like
one of these years I'll actually get to play a zombie at your event, but
and you know what? I try to tell people you'll never have more fun playing a zombie than at this event because
the fact that there are nothing but super zombies. Which is this is why it's hardcore. One of the reasons it's hardcore. There are nothing but super zombies. Survival Fest is all of who, and we have lots of specials, and you're like, yeah, they have nothing but supers.
Yeah. So,
all right, gentlemen, we're getting to about that time. So again, Kyle, when people want to reach out and talk to your Ask Scenes, where can they find you or reach you, or what should they follow?
The easiest place is on Facebook. We still have our Frag Society page. So you type in Frag Society on Facebook, you will find us. We try to, on that page, at least, especially all of the, if you find the links for Mall Madness, we have our Discord links and you can find your way there. I know that this year I kind of treated Google Docs like a do-it-yourself website. And I had a main page with everything link treed to all of the other documents that I wanted everybody to read.
I loved that.
So if you find the Mall Madness 5 homepage, you're going to find all of the relevant links. You're going to find all the rules from the event. And I'm still going to be using it because I still have all my post-game stuff to go through. Like I'm going to go over the financial breakdown. I'm going to post all of our media and images there. I'm going to post our survey links there, which I will want to hear everybody, from everybody about. Like this, just because the game is over doesn't mean that I've wrapped up everything. And I'll have all the analytics and plans for the next game based on feedback. Because again, like it's very important to try to like fine tune to a perfect game. And I think we've gotten really close. Like this game was.
Like I said at the event, and I'm going to say it again, it was the smoothest run HVZ I have ever been to.
And we have a staff, our dedicated admins of 5 people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
perfect.
Yeah, like we pride ourselves on being able to do a lot more with fewer people, and because I know I've seen games of 20 that are nightmares. So.
Yeah, and I've seen games run by people who have a lot of experience that tried to do fancy stuff and it ended up falling apart. The simplicity of a lot of things, or the way you've done things, is brilliant in how you've made it simple yet complicated at the same time.
Complicated in possible play combinations, but simple in reaction and action.
The actual mechanics are incredibly simple. But you can stack them in complicated ways.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I love, that there isn't a lot of confusion about what does what on the field. Like you're hit by a dart, you're tagged.
Yep.
Or you're hit by a dart and you're not tagged because you're in thing.
Yep.
I've played some things that also had levels that there were 120 different calls that you had to memorize. And this one, the only call was Power Strike. That was the one call that any player might ever make that does the thing. Or some of the capstones. So like boost. Medics are expected to say boost while they've got your hand so that you know what's going on.
Yep.
It's simple enough that I don't recall there ever being play stoppage for a rules discrepancy. Or a mechanics discrepancy.
This was one of the first games I've run where nobody stopped me about anything the entire game. The one injury that you mentioned was resolved without me being in the vicinity, and I didn't find out about until later.
It was probably a paper
I think I saw you once correct an engineer on how far they could move a box at a time. And he's like, you just have to go jiggle another box. I'm like, oh, just jiggle the box. Okay.
Yep.
6 steps. Jiggle another box.
I made a few on the call adjustments and corrections, but like Never once did I have to stop and explain things to people. Never once did players have an interaction because of the rules that was in question. Like I had a few.
I had this thing and they had that thing. Does that mean this thing? They're like, no, there's nothing that's that complicated. Yeah, it
Perfect.
was. Like I said, it was smooth. I never saw anybody call for a ref for a discrepancy. I didn't see any times where people were, I got you, but you got me because you had the. No, I was in motion. I tagged you. Like, like so, there was one time where I should have been tagged, but the person didn't. You're like, you were in motion. Okay. But off they went.
Like I said, it was clean, and I felt really good about that.
Yeah, that was the other word. It was both smooth and clean. Is it just
there? It is.
You just played.
Those are the two words we're going to finish on tonight: smooth and clean. Otherwise, we're going to go on forever.
And I can only hope that at some point I will run a similar event that runs half as smooth as that one did.
Well, I hope to play there.
I am going to be stealing an awful lot of what I've learned from you.
All right,
we're not going to try the levels for the first couple of games at least, but I'm definitely taking kill confirm.
I like it. All right.
And the fact that it takes place in a mall. I'm stealing that too.
Of course. Next week, we do have another episode of Foam Zone Confirmed with one Andrew, a.k.a. Dart Sweep. And then also after that, Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we will actually have a show. Myself, Captain Xavier, and luckily our man behind the curtain, what actually makes this all work, will be available. We will have a guest, hopefully, and we'll be talking stuff pre-Thanksgiving. Kyle, thanks again for being on. Ladies and gentlemen, also don't forget to subscribe and like everything. And you know what? We'll probably see you again soon. But in the meantime, do me a favor, man. Get off my lawn.